Sorry, taking a very important call from the city manager who's coming in on rails, he said. But before I call the meeting to order, I would like to read a statement as I do at each meeting. Public comments are always welcome, and I invite you to sign up if you wish to speak tonight. We have sign-up sheets over here. I will recognize those signed up during the citizens' remarks section of the council's agenda. During this agenda item, I ask that these guidelines be followed. Once recognized to speak, please come forward, stand at the podium, and for the record, state your name and if you are a resident of Lexington, Virginia. If you want to be contacted after this meeting, please provide your contact information to the clerk. Please make your comments to the council as a whole and do not engage the audience. Please be brief, state your position, and provide facts. Number 4, please provide written statements and/or supporting materials to the clerk for distribution to the council and the city manager. Debate is prohibited. This is a time to share your thoughts and ideas with your city council, and we're here to listen. Lastly, please speak clearly as we want to hear what you have to say. The council allots 3 minutes to each speaker, and individuals may not yield their allotted time to another person. If you represent a group, you're allotted 5 minutes, and you're invited to identify other members of your group who are in attendance. I remind us all that meetings of the City Council are formal proceedings and are recorded. And with that, I would like to officially call the Thursday, June 5th, 2025 City Council meeting to order. And the first order of business, if you all will please join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. Next, for consideration of the agenda, typically don't like to add things at the time of the meeting that were not previously published, but there are 2 items for council's consideration that I hope you will embrace. Under presentations, 5.3 to be added, to have a report that was requested from Mr. Alligood on the MSA. And then on consent agenda, an item 9.5, to add the Fridays Alive JCs for a peddler's waiver for the season of Fridays Alive. There's a new crew with the JCs, and they weren't aware of this from prior notes and years. And unless there's an objection, would like to add 5.3 of the MSA report by Mr. Alligood and 9.5 for the approval of the JC's Fridays Alive peddler waiver. Hearing no objection, we will embrace those and move straight into presentations. And first, I'd like to invite up Lance Branham, excuse me. Trying to change your name on you. Sorry about that, Lance.
No problem, sir.
All tongue twisted this evening.
It's usually Lance that gets messed up.
Right. With the Greater Rockbridge County Skateboard Coalition update.
We can just go by GRCSC. It's a whole lot less of a mouthful. Appreciate you guys giving me an opportunity. I feel like we're probably one of the more obscure nonprofits in your community, and we've only been here for 4 years. So hopefully this is informative and insightful for everyone. All right, to start off with, who is the Greater Rockbridge County Skateboarder Coalition? The GRCSC is a 501c nonprofit formed in May of 2021. We are based around the Lexington Skate Park, with one of our main objectives being its restoration and continued addition of new structures and improvements. While we are largely focused on bringing skateboarding and an awareness of its benefits to the greater population of Rockbridge County, we seek to unite the skateboarding community to accomplish this. What is skateboarding? For starters, a skateboard is a vehicle, one that doesn't have a height or an age limit. It's harder to put a finger on what actually riding it and performing athletic feats on it is. One could simply call it a lifestyle, a sport, or possibly even a martial art. No matter the label you put on it, it's definitely fun, while also being great exercise and a measurement of personal achievement if you really choose to pursue it. Another thing most definitely can be considered is a community, one that also does not have a height, age, weight, or race restrictions. There's something in it to be had for everyone, from the music to the art to the clothing it introduces you to. It's a vehicle of personal expression. And now being an Olympic sport with growing numbers of contests occurring, it could be considered a career path more than ever, be it skateboarding, graphic design, modeling, videography, etc. All of these benefit mental and community health. What have we done for the community? In the last 3 years, we have built a 4-foot half pipe with the volunteer assistance of VMI Engineering that is actively maintained for safety. We have repaired existing legacy structures, usually in coordination with Lexington Public Works, installed a new 8-foot grind rail, constructed 2 concrete structures, and received support from city to pave the ground. Most importantly, making it a rideable surface for our wheels. Most recently, we sealed that surface. Since our conception and origination with our partnership with Live Healthy Rockbridge Kids, we have offered free skateboarding lessons during the temperate seasons while also working with groups like the Lexington Junior Police Camp, Mario River Middle School Youth After School or Youth Achieving Success programs, Natural Bridge Elementary School Dreams After School program, always providing an array of free boards and safety gear to whomever may need them. This has had the most impact on us personally, and our numbers are growing, providing free lessons to over 220 county youth for 2024. All of the above being done with 100% volunteer labor. Little eye candy. Fresh Park Portable Skate Park. At the beginning of 2023, we were very grateful to receive a grant from the Carillion Rockbridge Community Health Foundation to obtain a full portable skate park that packs tightly into a 5x10 trailer featuring over 20 pieces. This park was purchased with the intent and the understanding that it would be used to bring skateboarding to the youth or people of any age who may be interested in trying skateboarding but haven't had an opportunity to make it to the Lexington skate park or who might not be aware of its existence. With this opportunity, we would like to reach into the deeper areas of Rockbridge like Glasgow or Rafine, but the park does require a decent surface and insurance for athletic purposes. A little more eye candy, an example of that. In the left picture, you can see it set up at Euler Pavilion at Glenmorey Park, which we have 2 dates scheduled for this summer and had 2 dates last year. Goals for 2025. For 2025, one of our main goals is to attain a permanent structure at the park to use as a storage building, possibly double as a host to a graffiti wall. This would greatly help us by giving us a place to store our gear. We have a lot of hefty equipment to lug around from lesson to lesson, and by use of an extra key, it would give partners and school programs opportunities to access and use our gear. Another goal that we have is to access more places in the county to utilize our portable skate park. This could be a place such as a basketball court, parking lot, that with partnership with cities or townships or businesses or organizations could find proper liability and safety parameters for its use. How can you help? One way to help us out is to help get our name out there by promoting our events, our lessons, and our cause so we can keep growing as an organization and in turn grow the skateboarding community of Rockbridge. It also helps introduce us to new organizations in the area and provides us opportunities to work with those whose messages align with ours. That being mainly getting outside and practicing healthy activities while living life to the fullest. We're also in need of volunteers. Extra hands always make the heavy work lighter, and building a skate park and a mission can be some serious work, and it's not ambiguous or cheap. We're all new at this, not to skateboarding, but to nonprofit operation, volunteer labor on a civic level, and growing into realization of our impact and capabilities. And if I may continue from here, I do have a few updates and other pieces of info. So directly related to this presentation, Maintenance at the park this year, our half pipe experienced some plywood rot underneath the professional surfacing, and we had to replace that before our event May 17th. Luckily, we were able to get a donation of 12 sheets of plywood from Spencer Home Center, super supporters of the community and our personal heroes. Also not listed in things provided at the park, we have a couple of helping handrails adjacent to the side of the park that are specifically designed for beginners to give them a way to learn their balance before they go out there and just go for it on four wheels and a prayer. The storage building has been lined up. First of all, through Lexington Public Works, they had agreed to pour a concrete pad to put it on. Again, RCHF, our other heroes have come through the $5,000 grant to purchase a storage building 10 by 16. Once it's here in the fall, we will be finishing it out. So kind of looks kind of nice on the inside. That will store all of our skateboard gear and right now, we're up to 30 skateboards, 30 sets of pads, 30 helmets. It is an incredible amount of carfuls of stuff to provide for the community. Also, we received a grant from WNL for $1,200 to fabricate and install a skateboard repair station. We have met many a child whose household has no tools at home. So when it comes to showing them how to maintain their board, adjust it, etc., they have no way to do this on their own. So also equitable for the community because everybody gets a fair shake at repairing their own gear. To go along with the storage building going into the fall, we'll be seeking first aid and some light spectrum training classes just to be able to provide a little bit more safety while we are engaged with the public. And for those with special needs, we'll be able to see the cues a little bit better. Impact, reaching people with no peers. We meet so many youth that haven't got a skateboard friend in the world. And we get to interact with them and kind of show them how to really enjoy what they have to the fullest and discover it more. That's been one of the best parts of this. We're not the worst skate park in Virginia anymore. I'm pretty sure everybody remembers McCann's Travels video from 2021 there. We've been upgraded to one of the worst 5 in Virginia, but Miss McCann has not visited lately. She has promised me she will come back someday for an event or something. So hopefully we can climb a little higher than that. We'll see. Substance abuse turnarounds. You know, one of the impacts of a great skate park is having a community that isn't bored, has a place to go and kind of free range without any kind of nefarious purpose. I have personally witnessed young men that have kind of gone down the wrong path, come back to the skate park, make amends with people that they had problems with before because they realized this is where they wanted to be. That was them before, and it's them when they found themselves again, and that's been fascinating. What's next for us? We have a donation of $2,500 that is in the memory of Tommy Gaines, local influential skateboarder that passed away last Labor Day weekend. And we will be using that to kickstart a GoFundMe. We haven't really set a goal for that yet as far as a figure, but we will be exploring some packages from the American Ramps Company. We've kind of evolved into where we realize some things with warranties are really nice as we've been maintaining the park. And it's hard to push forward with new things when you're always turning around and fixing the old things. These structures come with a 20-year warranty. Hopefully by then, somebody else takes the reins from me and I don't have to fix things anymore. But at any rate, that's a great opportunity over 20 years to put more exposure on this park and possibly get to the hundreds of thousands of dollars that it takes for a great concrete park.
Mm.
Challenges of the Lexington Skate Park. There's not much shade in the summer. The pavement on a sunny day is 30 to 40 degrees hotter than what you feel. Um, that's the main reason why we don't engage in August and July anymore. It's just too hot. The restrooms are distant, so emergencies become real emergencies. Our parking lot during event times is very limited. I know parking is kind of a bad thing to bring up here, but it seems that there is room to expand a little bit if the lot moved all the way to the gates at the inside pool house. It's just straightforward. It would be nice if the entry was widened for two cars. Right now, it's just enough for one, and there's kind of a blind spot going to Wallace Street there. So those are definitely the biggest challenges right now, other than providing more structures, but that's the obvious let. Um, Call to action for you guys, consider the benefits of tourism. We've met roller skaters from California. We meet parents of students of VMI and Washington Elite students who are visiting from their states. At our events, we constantly have people from an hour away coming to compete and enjoy those. It does have a draw. The worst skate park in Virginia video, Brittany McCann. It's the channel's name is McCann's Travels. That's what she does. That's anybody that's into anything. If you're a skier, you're going to go travel to ski spots. If you're a biker, you're going to go travel to bike spots. So there is an ability for it to draw more people. Also, consider the community impact. We've been a part of the Lexington Police Department's junior camp since its inception. We're the same age now, and also really thankful to Lena Hansley, who's now the guidance counselor at Murray River Middle School. She has been instrumental in getting us to work with both the Natural Bridge Elementary and Murray River Middle School after school programs, and that has been a blast. We asked last fall, it was about our third or fourth time of a month-long stint of doing 2 evenings a week with the Murray River Middle School kids. And we just kind of noticed that they had just kind of absorbed into this park, and it wasn't our park anymore. It was theirs right now. And towards the end of the session, we're putting all the gear away. We asked them, do you guys get any opportunities in school to interact with each other like this? And it was a resounding no. There is a thing that happens in skateboarding where communities get built like this. It doesn't matter if you're 8 or 80, people just get along. And that's been magic to watch too. That's about all I have. Thank you for your time. And if you have any questions for me, I try my best to answer.
Mr. Betts.
I had a question and I had a comment. What's the youngest that you kind of see kids start skateboarding?
4 or 5, but at that point in time, they're not quite ready unless their parents really got them into it or they skated with their parents. One of my board members' daughters, when she first started coming to the park, was 3, and she was doing fine. But daddy's a skater, so you know how she started.
Yeah. I was actually at your May 17th event. It was a great, well-attended event. And yeah, I brought my family out, and my 2-year-old daughter, she wasn't quite ready to start skateboarding, but it was a great event. It seemed like well-attended and a lot of people were there. It was great.
We gave out 297 wristbands. We didn't charge. We kind of wanted to have a rough count. We did not band everyone. By consensus, we feel like there was a good chance there was 400 that day. I believe in 2022 at our last event that was similar with bands and stuff, we were at about 300. So we're seeing an increase in numbers all over.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Any members of council have questions? Lance, thank you for the update. You are truly a testament to hard work equals success, because you've been diligent and consistent and are the foundation of the skate park. So thank you for starting this 501c3 and the cast of characters that you've had working with you to get it to this point. We're very grateful. Congratulations on the grants that you've received. That's a great work and the lifeblood of nonprofits, to be sure. So they're not easy to get, and a lot of times they're very thorough on making sure the organizations are well heeled, well organized, and operating effectively. And lastly, thank you for the partnerships and the infrastructure that you have. I think you said you sealed the asphalt and the steps that you've taken to ensure a high integrity skate park for us.
There's no words to thank the city of Lexington for that pavement enough. My first adventures there were in 2002. The pavement was bad then. It was bad when we started in 2021. It was more of a BMX park then. It doesn't affect a 26-inch wheel the way it affects a 40, 50, 60 millimeter wheel. So we knew we had to protect it, and hopefully we're still here in 10 years when it needs it again.
Terrific. Thank you again for being here with us, and look forward to hearing about the adventures of the skate park and the shredding by all the participants.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda and works hand in glove. You're talking about tourism. We have the Rockbridge Regional Tourism Director, Cheryl Wagner. Cheryl, welcome. And if you all haven't connected, I hope you have tonight so that you can put things on the tourism website for people to be aware of at the skate park.
Thank you, Mayor Friedman and members of council, for allowing me to come before you tonight to give you a tourism update. I want to especially thank Councilman Betts because he serves on our tourism board. So I'm going to go through these pretty quickly about what our mission is. And you have before you an infographic and our brand new visitors guide that just came out last week. Nice photo of downtown Lexington on the front. So our job is to promote this region as a destination, and that's to leisure travelers, group travelers, meetings, sports tourism, and outdoor adventure. And Otis Mead came to see me the other day, and it was so nice to talk to him. And he wanted to give me the history, which I already knew, about how we started. But we started with the chamber to begin with, when it was at the old library or across from the old library. And he had this idea to build a tourism department, and the city of Lexington did that. And that's when we started, was in 1973. One of the oldest in the state. And then we created Rockbridge Regional Tourism in 2001. And I was there at that time. I was only one in 1973. So I wasn't there. I wanted to tell you about my staff, my wonderful staff. Patty Williams is our director of marketing. She's been there 10 years. Holly Rogers has been there 4, and she's amazing. We have some great travel counselors that are also tour guides for buses when you see the buses come into town. And then Eddie Crowder. If you haven't seen our visitors guide somewhere in downtown, which is everywhere, or even hotels, restaurants, everywhere, that Eddie delivers them for us. This is Virginia Tourism Corporation data, and it's for the 3 localities together. So, and the most recent is from 2023. So tourism is an instant revenue generator. We can hold an event. We like the Freedom Food Festival and bring people to town, and they spend money in our restaurants and our hotels. We could put an ad on Facebook on one of our print media, and it will bring people into town, and immediately they're going to spend money. So we supported about 2,000 jobs. And we increased from 2022 by a very small amount, almost 1%. It'll get better. I wanted to give you an idea of our hospitality landscape. So we have about 1,700 hotel rooms within Lexington, Rockbridge, and BV, 105 restaurants. And when I gave this presentation to the chamber, they were like, John Stallard said, I don't think so. And I was like, you've got to realize it's all 3 jurisdictions, and they've included even fast food in that, which, as you know, we get a lot of revenue from fast food as well. We have 16 bed and breakfasts and 9 campgrounds, 56 independent retailers. Most of them are in downtown Lexington, 4 craft breweries, 5 wineries, a cidery, and over 1,000 Airbnbs.
Wow. Cheryl, looking at the hotel room numbers, that's you don't need to go back, but
Yeah.
is that as of today, if you will, True being on
Brew
board?
is on there,
But
yes.
is it Marriott?
The
Residence
Marriott
Inn?
is not on there yet because they haven't opened.
And it
So-
doesn't include Wawa under restaurants.
It doesn't,
Okay.
not yet.
Very good. Thank you.
So what makes us a successful tourism destination? Just look at that photo, first of all. But we have a celebrated downtown. We have a walkable downtown. Our colleges, they bring in a lot of parents, a lot of sports, and the students themselves. And please don't come at me if I don't include every attraction. There's way too many to include. We have unmatched attractions like the Natural Bridge, Hall's Drive-In, Virginia Safari Park, and of course our outdoor recreation. Our local food, our farms, our breweries, and our wineries are another thing that make us a standout destination. And then, of course, sports tourism. So this is the Virginia Horse Center, and this is our colleges right now. VMI brings in a great deal of sports tourism for us. And the Virginia Horse Center is amazing. Not that there's that many spectators there, but I mean, I don't know if you saw it last weekend, but they had 800 people out there, 800 trailers out there, and probably 4 to 5 people with each one. So we started using, and I'll talk about this a little later, but a program called Zartico. And what Zartico does is it takes cell phone data and credit card data of people that are in market. Now, it's a sample size, but this is where our visitors are coming from primarily. And what you'll see, DC, Northern Virginia. But when you see like the darker green, that means they're spending more money than DC and Northern Virginia. These are our top markets, which would be, Northern Virginia, Norfolk, Richmond, which is really interesting because it's only 10% of our visitors, but they spend 8%. So they spend more than the bit. So what we know is people from Richmond spend more money in our destination. Now, where are they going? Number 1, they're going to Lexington. And then it's Southeast Rockbridge, which would be Natural Bridge, Safari Park. I don't think any of this is a surprise to anyone. Northeast Rockbridge would be like the Fairfield Rafing area, but I want to preface that because there's 2 truck stops there. So there's going to be a lot of cell phone data from people outside of the area. So, then Buena Vista, and then, Northwest Rockbridge would be like Goshen. And where do visitors go? So they're staying at our accommodations and then universities. And they break these up into two, and I'm trying to get them to put them together. Education is VMI alone. The universities is Washington and Lee and SVU. And then outdoor recreation, our attractions. Now, when you see, I wish I could see it. Agriculture and livestock, that means wineries and breweries. Sports is up there, retail is up there, food, of course, and then kind of nightlife is right at the end, not a lot. But that was for the last 12 months is the data that I'm showing you now. We operate two different websites, LexingtonVirginia.com and Rockbridge Outdoors. This is a screenshot of those. Our website gets about 243 visitors a year. So how do we build out this brand of all of those attractions? So we do that through public relations. We use a company called Geiger, and they bring in media tours for us. We do advertising, and we do print and digital. Content marketing would be our blogs and our videos, and then digital marketing, our e-newsletter and our social media. So here's an example of our public relations. So in the past couple of years that we've worked with Geiger, we've had 55 travel writers in our destination. And they have the articles like in Travel and Leisure or Southern Living are the two that I posted here. The ad equivalent would be about $3 million if we had purchased an ad in all of the publications that we've been in. This is our current campaign, which is Small Towns, Big Backyard. And our messaging in our collateral pieces, which I have given to you tonight, same thing, small towns, big backyard. So our print and digital media, we do the Blue Ridge Parkway Guide, Richmond Magazine, Blue Ridge Outdoors, Roanoke, the Virginia Travel Guide, and these are just a few of them. I couldn't list them all. And then we do television ads online. And I don't think I'll probably be able to. I can send them to you. These are just examples of a couple of our 30-second. Email marketing. This is one of our e-newsletters. And industry standard is about 16% open rate for tourism. And ours is almost 18%. So we're doing well with that. Content marketing, we boost post. We put out lots of content about our destination. And then we work on regional projects. If you've heard of the Shenandoah Beer Works Trail. It started in 2016, May of 2016, but we didn't launch the passport until December of 2017. But it gives us a great idea of where people are coming from because they turn in their passport to get a free t-shirt that says drink in the Shenandoah Valley. So far we've had almost 10,000 completed since December of 2017. And when I compare this to what Roanoke also has one, theirs is a small percentage of what we do. And it also has about 72,000 brewery visits because you've got to go to 8 of them to get a t-shirt. And there are 20 on the trail. We talked to Eric Wilson and I came in and talked to you about VA 250. So I just wanted to let you know it's another regional project. We had a great meeting today with VMI about some debates that they're going to do for the 250. These are, so we've been working with this company called Eddie Alexander. I hope you all got an invitation to be part of our strategic plan. And that starts next week. We've also started working with a company called CrowdRiff. CrowdRiff means it's a platform online, and we've used it in our visitor's guide actually, where we can request rights from people that are posting photos about Lexington, BV, and Rockbridge, request rights to use them. And then they go into our database. We've got thousands of photos now. STAR is Smith Travel Research, which is hotel occupancy. And of course, I told you about Sardica before. But it's really important to me that you understand about our strategic plan right now. And this is our timeline. We started it in May. We hope to be done by October. But interviews are happening next week, one-on-one interviews. Week after are the focus groups. And then after that, the month of July, we're going to do like a community questionnaire. So just to get input from everyone. And that's all I have.
Excellent. Thank you, Cheryl.
Any
Members-
questions?
Members of council have questions. Nick?
Is the visitor center lease, is that done or is it still ongoing? Okay. Still ongoing.
So we operate 3 visitor centers, one in Natural Bridge, one in Buena Vista, and our main visitor center is in downtown Lexington. As you know, that building has been for sale. But what we're negotiating, and this happened when we first moved in 1987 into that building, nothing has really been done since then. And so what we would like is for a rebate on any improvements we make to the building off of our lease. So Mr. Carroll has been negotiating with.
If you could grab there so folks can hear you in the back.
It's with Brightspeed now, and we're waiting on a term from them, and haven't gotten it back yet. I don't have any reason to think there's an issue. They have agents who are representing them, and I've communicated with them even today, and they just haven't heard back either because, well, I honestly don't know. I just assume people are busy, which happens, but we have done the Buena Vista lease, I think.
Yes.
And I was gonna add, that was a follow-up question I had. Is the Buena Vista Visitor Center, is that all set for, and what's the date that they're moving into their new location?
Our July 1, we're just going to move some things over from our current visitor center, which is right off the parkway. But that building is sinking. So we had to move to somewhere else. And a visitor center should really be in a town center anyway. And because your signage will bring people into town. If you have it right off of one of your attractions, which is the Blue Ridge Parkway, they're going to come in and use the bathroom and go back on the parkway and not see anything in your downtown. So
It's in the visitor, at the end, or the Innovation Center?
the via yeah
Innovation Center
innovation
Yeah.
center, accelerator, whatever. Yeah.
located directly behind Buena Vista City Hall.
And it's under construction, right?
And
Mr.
so
Ziegler.
the existing Buena Vista Visitor Center, we did not pay any rent for that building, right? And so we will at this new facility
We will.
and we do, okay. Because I always remember we would get maybe 10, 15 people to sign the visitor guest book a month
Right.
at the old place and we weren't paying anything for it. And
Right.
so I guess we'll now evaluate if we still get 10 or 15 people a month to sign it and we are paying for space, right?
We are paying for
Yeah.
space.
Okay.
It's nominal.
Mhm.
It's definitely not the same price as Lexington is,
Right.
you know, but, and it's much smaller, you know, and it's smaller than the space we're in right now. But, there will be other things located in there. We'll still have community room. There's going to be a cafe, hopefully a brewery. So there will be other things located in that space.
Which, and this is, we're talking about the old Mundet Hermitite building. So not downtown, not necessarily walkable from the downtown Buena Vista. Because it's literally across the train tracks, right?
I mean, just right across the.
Yeah.
It probably does help that there's other things in there though, like
Yeah.
a cafe and other
Yeah.
attractions to maybe get people in the door, and then they'll look at the visitor center and that'll direct them to other regional attractions, including in downtown Buena Vista and Lexington
Yeah.
and Rockbridge.
I mean, Natural Bridge is not in a downtown either, but I.
Natural
when-
Bridge gets like hundreds of thousands of
200,000
visitors a year.
Visitors a year.
Kind of apples and oranges.
Right.
Yeah, it's strategically located between the railroad tracks and the river. So folks that are walking along the river trail may stumble upon it as well. So,
They are. And what they're hoping is to have an outfitter there as well, to bring people out on the river.
yeah. And only to split hairs, I saw an eyebrow raise. There were some major renovations done on restrooms in the visitor center a few years back. So there have been some improvements since 1987, but the building itself is still the same structure and serves as the switching station for all the telecommunications in the area.
Does.
Yeah. So, other questions from council? Mr. Smith.
Now, Rockbridge Outdoors having been established for a while now, and you're hosting the website and traffic through for that organization. What trends are you seeing visiting that website in particular?
That website is more like, I would say possibly 100,000 people a year. What we see is about 7 or 8 every month. Yeah.
Are you seeing growth?
We are seeing growth. I mean,
in
we
traffic from that?
promote Rockbridge Outdoors, and not just, you know, tourism. We do them separately for some reason, but yeah,
Right.
we
okay.
do.
I know they're participating in a Blue Ridge Outdoors program over at
Yes,
Devil's Backbone in Nelson County.
this weekend, isn't it?
Is this weekend?
Thanks.
Okay, I can remember it was this weekend or next weekend. I'm glad to see that kind of outreach. So keep up the good work there.
There's some type of disc golf tournament coming up this year, right?
There is
Yeah.
in September at the Natural Bridge that we received a grant for that. Mm.
Terrific. Cheryl, thank you for being with us this evening and bringing us this terrific information. And thank you for spearheading a terrific team for our tourism. And keep us in mind as we can support your efforts. Excited about the Freedom Food Festival just around the corner and the support and connectivity with our skate park and all the many attractions here in our community.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for this.
And as always, feel free to hang around and enjoy the rest of the meeting, but also feel free to go home and enjoy your family. Next item on the agenda is 5.3 and is a presentation from Mr. Alligood. Welcome back. And thank you for bringing us an update from the Maury Service Authority, our partners in water.
Thanks for the invitation. Charles Alligood, Lexington representative on the Maury Service Authority Board. And I'm glad to be here. And talking with the mayor earlier, we discussed when might be a good time for me to come share with you the new information and just updated information. And the suggestion that I think we agreed upon was that as the MSA board meets at the end of each month, that I would be very willing to come at the beginning of the successive first of the month to this meeting to share with you what I learned and what's going on with the MSA in there. And so it'd be a continuing thing. I've been listening at home virtually to all these meetings, so I haven't been deaf to what's going on here. And so I'm keeping my eye on everything. And so just want to bring you up to date a little bit. There's some big things happening. As you know, my mantra often was hold on to your wallet, and that's still true. And so keep a firm grasp. I'm going to share with you some information about the dollars tonight. One of the things that I observed with the MSA when I took over my spot on the board was the lack of any real preventive maintenance program that the operation MSA didn't have. And it's been slow in coming. It's still slowly coming, but it's coming a little bit. And one of the objectives with that program is you try to get ahead of maintenance issues with preventive maintenance criteria to keep things running. And as you know, that plant is extremely critical. It can't shut down. It has, it's a key piece of infrastructure that has to run. There's no in between about it. So in trying to get ahead, we had a system associated with the oxidation ditch. We had to hire a crane from out of town because of the reach that was necessary and the weights involved to replace a series of large motors that we ordered months ago, trying to get ahead, knowing that their days were, those motors' times were limited. And so they arrived and scheduled everything. This is kind of what can happen. And so installed them, and the motors started failing, the brand new ones. And so all of those have been sent back to the manufacturer. Now, so we're light some of the motors for the plant, but we're still operating. But there's a lot of back and forth talk between the manufacturer and MSA at this point. And so we're expediting as best we can, because those motors, without them, the plant doesn't run. It's one of those parts that makes or breaks the plant. And so the idea of brand new motors not doing their job is disappointing. You've heard the adage, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, is kind of like that. And so that surprised us all, of course, sadly, in there. And so we're working on that. Another item, when the new administration, federal administration took over, when Trump took over, things seem to stop in terms of funding flowing to, I guess, everybody, not just us. And MSA had been in line for $4.5 million loan, but it was a low interest loan that had some principal forgiveness attached to it. And it was going to be used to finish the Route 11 and replace the Route 11 water pipe, the large water pipe. And somehow everything just came to a halt. Nothing was happening. This has been about 4 months now. So we just got word this past few weeks that it's moving again. And so fingers crossed that the bids have already been open. The contractor has been selected. And so we're ready to go ahead with the project. We just need the check and the funding that comes from that. Again, it was $4.5 million. And the system of all of the dollars that you've been hearing about when I was on council, the $60+ million for modernizing the MSA plant, all that's still in place. The engineering work has been done. And one of the questions that has been coming up, and you've been hearing about it, is a question about PFAS contamination. And none, just for you to know, none of that money in that 60 million-ish addressed any of that PFAS contamination question. Zero. MSA hired an engineering company through the bidding process, and quite a few months ago, I'm gonna say 6, 7 months ago, and they came back with a report that was presented at the most recent MSA meeting, giving us an analysis of the PFAS levels that our system is dealing with. And fortunately, the levels are not extremely concerning at this time. It looks like we're at or below any of the currently stated federal levels that aren't in effect yet, but are leading towards being in effect. So that was good news. But in handling the PFAS question, their recommendation is, along with the modernizing that is going on with the MSA plant, some of the parts that have been there since the beginning need replacing and modernizing. And so trying to blend the modernizing of those pieces of equipment, they're large, with the potential additional equipment needed for the PFAS treatment, is the way that they suggested we go, which takes advantage of, it doesn't spend extra money. It uses as much as you can what's there. Anyway, they presented their estimate to the MSA board last week for the cost, and this is the hold on to your wallets moment, $15+ million. It's between 15 and $16 million for dealing with the PFAS question. Now, the feds have defined, this is EPA I'm talking about, the feds have defined the PFAS material as hazardous waste, but then they came back with an exception. Generally, when you hear in the business hazardous waste, that implies that there has to be some licensed hazardous waste removal site that's operated and inspected, that's got a set of permits that allow them to operate and handle material. And so fortunately, what they've done with the PFAS is, yes, they've declared it hazardous waste, but it doesn't have to go to a licensed hazardous waste site. It can go, whatever we remove, to the local landfill at this point. And so some of the work is that the engineering company is doing is deciding which way to go. And maybe it'll be a combination of ways. One of the ways to eliminate the PFAS material is with heat, pyrolysis. And another way is to basically turn it into cake, dry it, put it in the cake form, and put it in the landfill. And that's what's happening there. So the surprise that I know you all are holding on your wallets firmly is that $15+ million, which surprised us as well at MSA. And so that's where we are. And so we're with the PFAS question, it's not going away, but fortunately it's not an expense right now that it appears at this time that we have to deal with in the short term, but we're going to have to deal with it because even though our numbers are reasonably good in terms of PFAS levels in our system there, none of the levels are zero.
And that's in just the wastewater outfall?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And this is on the wastewater side.
Have you looked at just the river water coming into the drinking water at all?
It has PFAS in it. The levels are much lower. I'm just not going to put units on this.
Yeah.
So that's in the neighborhood of 5. And the waste side is in the range of 14 to 20, in that range. 20 is kind of the magic number for the feds right now in there. And so we're bumping up to that, but we're typically more towards the 14 side and the 20 side, which makes it not a critical thing. but it's also something that I think we're just going to have to deal with. So part of this is planning. We don't have to spend it now, but we certainly do need to plan to be ready in there to do that. And so that's my report. Any questions?
Is the $15 million for the PFAS remediation, if I'm understanding correctly, in addition to the $60 million?
In addition,
Okay.
100% in addition. So the 60 million plus the 15 is the money we're talking about here.
Is it possible to do the $60 million of modernization that y'all have already looked into and then do the PFAS mitigation later, or does that need to be done at the same time? Or
It should be done at the same time because the part of that 60 million addresses some of the large equipment that is necessary in this PFAS treatment process that we would add additional pieces to. And so we could add that in there. And so, but the 15 million does not include the stuff that's already been budgeted in that 60 million. So this is still a complete 15 million addition to that 60 million. And so there we are. And so in closing, I want to say that when I listen to the meetings, there's always been a missing part in the meetings I listen to. I kept waiting for somebody to talk about the MSA, and it was a black hole for that. So I hope to remedy that black hole.
And you were requested to come back by one of the council.
He wouldn't leave well enough alone.
I need to know what I should do with my wallet. I need that.
Hang on to it
I
for
need that
now.
constant reminder.
That's right.
we just need an excuse to get you back here, Charles. We miss you.
Thank you.
Does the MSA have a bond rating?
No. We have a good credit rating. And I want to say, I don't think we're as good as the city's rating there, but we're close in there. I think we have, I don't know exactly what it is, but I know we have a credit rating. Because the last time we issued, and we're getting ready to when we get into the real borrowing the money time, we're going to have to be incorporated with new articles of incorporation that are kind of hanging loose out there right now as well. And so that's coming in there. But we've been assured by our finance people. Davenport is also the finance person company, just like it is for here in Rockbridge County, that we're in good shape financially and would get the best interest rates on there. So we need to continue to raise rates, pay for it. So MSA, this past rate increase season was in the neighborhood of between 5% and 6% in there, which probably will be continuing at that rate in there. So that's what I have to share with you. I'd be glad to answer any other questions.
Mr. Smith.
Related to PFAS, I know the subject has been applied to the application of biosolids in the region, and whether PFAS or how PFAS levels in biosolids from the waste treatment plant will affect the reliability of that biosolid application, whether it will be restricted as a result of PFAS levels in the biosolids. Are you seeing some headwinds on that for biosolid application
There's definitely
because of
discussion.
PFAS?
There's definitely discussion, and the way that the MSA gets rid of the biosolids is by land application. And we have a list of farm owners who are glad to get the fertilizer for no charge. And we do some other things too about soil sampling to see what the nutrient levels need to be for the field and whatnot. But it's still got PFAS in it. And that's, I think, what you're referring to. And so we're MSA is ultimately looking at not doing biosolids down the road at some point. That hasn't
So-
come to that point yet, but it's part of the planning that's going on. What if we have to stop doing that? And so we're doing this engineering work now to see what it takes money-wise to otherwise deal with it, because you still have to deal with the biosolids. You still have the PFAS contamination that's not going away, and there, no matter what you do with it. Currently, the biosolids appears to be doing reasonably well, because the PFAS levels in the samples that have been taken are fairly low, but again, not zero.
You know, I don't think PFAS levels anywhere are zero right now.
So even though we have decent rating, decent levels, let me rephrase that, even though the levels that have been reported, the sampling levels for PFAS don't show extreme levels, they, again, to repeat, they don't show zero levels either, which forces us to plan for what to do. And the feds are tightening up on this as well.
And the follow-up, it's kind of related. If biosolids can't be applied, then they have to be landfilled.
Correct, or burned.
Right. So, and then we send the leachate from the landfill back to the MSA
Correct,
and get it treated.
correct,
And then we get the biosolids from the MSA back to landfill. I'm just
correct. It's a-
wondering how this PFAS concentration loop will be exacerbated by if that set of circumstances, if they come to be. It's just a topic for
Sure,
later discussion, but it's
sure.
been
And everything that goes, all the liquids that go through the MSA plant, of course, go into the river. And so that means PFAS goes into the river at this point. And so it just sounds bad. You want to remove as much of this stuff as you can and dispose of it otherwise. And pyrolysis appears to be the preferred method to break down the bonds of the PFAS, and the making it, turn it into cake form, which allows us to put it in the landfill, is less costly to do that. And so when it was suggested, when the engineering company was suggesting that heat's going to be part of the main component in this pyrolysis, I'm thinking about, is there waste heat? Can we make electricity from the waste heat and this kind of stuff? But these are considerations that are yet to come and be further discussed.
Mr. Alligood, thank you for being with us and bringing us that informative update and filling that MSA black hole, and appreciative of your representation.
See you next month.
Next item on the agenda is public hearing and consideration of ordinance 2025-03 to appropriate funds approved for the fiscal year 2026 budget. And don't know if we need any staff reports. Is council satisfied with the information they've received in the packet and previous?
Just had one question. I didn't see the stormwater fee in there. Is if the city manager could maybe speak to that.
We'll let the finance director
Finance.
field that one.
Thank you. There were actually two things I wanted to address quickly, and the first is the stormwater fee. It was not included in this ordinance, but it will be included in future ordinances. However, since since council approved the rate for FY 26 and FY 27 in December, we're fully covered on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The other item, if I could, I made a mistake in my advertisement in the newspaper. And in the newspaper, I wrote that water and sewer rates were going to be increasing by about 8%. That was left over from last year. The city of Lexington is not increasing water or sewer rates for FY 26.
Good news. We had the circumstance that we were doing 10, we'd be in trouble, but because we're doing less, we're covered.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Very much. Any other questions from council for finance director staff? Hearing none, would like to open the public hearing. I didn't see that anyone had signed up to speak to this topic, but is there anyone here tonight who would like to speak to this item, the public hearing and consideration of ordinance 2025-03, appropriating the funds approved for the fiscal year 2026 budget? Hearing no one, seeing no one wishing to speak, I will close the public hearing at 8:04 and ask for council's discussion and consideration.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2025-03, which is an ordinance that appropriates funds approved for the fiscal year 26 budget.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Betts.
Aye.
Mr. Driscoll.
Aye.
Ms. Strawn.
Aye.
Mr. Sigler.
Aye.
Ms. Alexander. Motion carries unanimously. We're appropriated for the coming fiscal year. Thank you all very much. Next is consideration of minutes. They were distributed your May 15, 2025 City Council regular meeting. Unless there's an objection, we will approve those as presented. They are approved. Next item, citizens' remarks and comments. Unlike our presentations where it's interactive with council, again, we welcome citizens' remarks and want to hear what you have on your mind, but we tend not to respond, just want to hear what you have to say. And with that, I have two folks that have signed up. And Morris, did you want to speak this evening? We'll make time for you. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're welcome to speak to it now from a timing standpoint as well. So, but I got you down to speak. Sorry, I pulled the list before. But our first person signed up to speak is Catherine Harbor. Dr. Harbor, if you'll come forward. Again, if you can state your name and.
I'm Catherine Harbor, and I was also coming to, and I live in Lexington.
Thank you.
I was coming to speak to the solar panel issue and just urge you to go ahead and put the solar panels on it while you're building the building, while you're appropriating funds to build the building, because it's so much cheaper to do it now and then to retrofit it. And in the long term, it will pay for itself in energy savings, but also benefit our health and air quality and give a good example to other communities for building buildings with solar panels. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Next to speak is Miss Dawn Mays Johnson. Dawn, welcome. Thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you. Got to touch on this?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Just
Again, my name is Dawn Mays Johnson, and I live at 411 North Randolph here in Lexington. I want to bring attention to council as well as the citizens of Lexington about what I've been experiencing for the last year and a half. It started in August of 2023 when my sister was home visiting. She lives in Maryland, but this is her home too. She pays taxes just as well as I do. And she knows there were many footprints on my property. And she asked me if I knew why they had so many. I thought it was just the regular utility people maybe checking water, gas, or whatever. So I decided to look to see what was going on with the property. And on August the 26th of 23, I observed over 20 VMI cadets on my property. To this day, I do not know why they chose my property to intrude upon. They were never invited. I called the police to have them removed. By the time the police would get to my house, they would be gone. I chased them. First occasion, I chased them down to the property, 18th Diamond Street, where they're all set on the ground, dressed in black hoodies and pants, and continued to sit like that. And so when I got down there, of course, they all took off running again. But this has gone on long enough. It is now June 2025. I have lived with this since August of 2023. I noticed many times they were, like I said, on the property. I noticed that they were being Pacific formation, walking through my property, onto my front porch, in front of my front porch, all around my house. I observed, besides footprints, I observed prints where like someone had taken poking sticks. Well, as I continued to observe throughout September, October, November, December, I finally saw what was causing those holes in my property. There seemed to be a gentleman who drives a F-150 silver truck. I think his name is Joey. There was another individual, female, and a guy with a rifle on the property of 413 North Randolph Street, surveilling my property. So when I went and asked the police department what is going on here, nobody had an answer for me. My fact, question I got was, why do you think we're surveilling your property? Well, dog, that's why I'm here, because I want to know why you're surveilling my property. So, just like I said, it continued. I've heard them call me all sorts of N-words. I heard them call me all sorts of B's. I heard them say specifically they wish they could catch my dog and skin him like a cat. Now, this is 2025. I don't know where else in this world where we're still having these issues here. I've been to other meetings where I have brought this to specific people's attention. Nothing was done. Not a thing. And then on January 24th, and this is hundreds of calls that I have called the police department, and you all can pull them up. I tried to call as many as I could from my cell phone so that I would have record of it and not have to go have something subpoenaed when it's time to do what it is that I need to do. But on January 24th, when I called the police department, 2 police cars responded. I stood in my window and waited on them. I saw the first one come down when they turned onto Diamond Street from North Randolph and made a left onto North Randolph Street. As soon as they crested the hill between 18 Diamond and 405 North Randolph Street, the police car flicks his lights. Okay, don't understand that because I told them where they were. They knew where they were, where they've always been. The second car approached my house when he crested the top of the at 18 Diamond and 405 North Randolph Street. He turned on the sirens. Well, these 2 cars finally caught up with themselves and he proceeded up Dorman Lane, and that's where they parked. So I stood there in my picture window, waited and waited, and all of a sudden, I see coming from my right peripheral this figure coming across my lawn. I don't have a gate on that side of the fence, so they had to come across my fence. It was a police officer. And as he approached the young men and women on my property, they stopped running. They started to run. When he must have said something, they stopped. This police officer stood out on the side on my property for about 15 minutes talking to these young intruders on my property, because that's how I called it in. Talk to them. And I'm waiting on the police officer who was dressed in the dark uniform, had some type of signal on whatever, his sleeve. And I waited. I thought the man was going to come and knock on my door and tell me that everything had been taken care of. He was down arresting them. But in the meantime, I forgot my phone, so I ran back to the room to get my phone. And when I got back to the picture window, I saw the officer pivoting. And he slips away into the night, back over my fence. But he didn't take the 2 intruders with him. He left them there for the remainder of the night. And they came back the next night, and the next night, and the next night, and the next night. And this is what I've been going on for over a year. I'm fed up with it. period. Lexington City has let me down. Lexington Police Department has let me down. And I feel like that my civil rights have been violated. And nothing to this day have I gotten word from any BMI personnel to say who these people were. I have yet to get anything from the police department to say who it was. I have been made to believe that I was seeing things. I was made to believe that I was hearing things, because not only did they intrude my property, these young individuals would be on top of my roof, and I could hear them in certain parts of my house.
Ms.
I'm fed up
Johnson,
with it.
as well you should be.
I'm fed up with it.
Sorry that you've had to resort to coming to council to recount this story. I'm sure I speak for all of council that we're concerned about your property and the response. And this is something that we'll ask the city manager to follow up with you on and seek to bring an end to the disturbance on your property.
That's I don't believe you, Mayor. I'm sorry to say that. I hear what you're saying. I'm just appreciative, but I don't believe you, because this crap has been going on for centuries. And it's with the young kids who come here, other places with different ideas how things should be done. I just don't understand it. And when I'm told by police, by them, my police himself, who asked me, as well as my sister, in front of my sister, to please stop protecting your property because these kids are dangerous, I don't have anywhere else to turn but to the legal system. And that's what I end with this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Morris, I'll invite you to come on up. And if you'll speak to the matter.
Stephen Morris Trimmer at 605 Ross Road. Thank you for your time tonight, but particularly thank you for your efforts and your time supporting our community. I'm speaking tonight in favor of the solar panels for the Department of Social Services building. We have solar panels on our house. It was helpful to have the federal funds to help pay for that, but it was still very worthwhile, even if we didn't have those funds. For even financial reasons, there is a payback. I don't know how much you're spending on that building altogether, but I don't know how much of that is giving you a payback at all. So the solar panels are worth it financially, as well as, I believe, environmentally. Will be offsetting the pollution caused by fossil fuel power plants. Fossil fuel power plants, as you know, cause all kinds of air pollution, but also water pollution, things that impact our health here as well as people in other communities. You can think of environmental justice issues. Many of our coal plants in Virginia are in areas where there are more people of color than others in other areas of the community, and they are more heavily impacted by the pollution of these plants. So consider that as well. Your support for these solar panels and supporting our partners in this project in promoting the solar panels is helping us as a community, as individuals in this community, offset our responsibility for those pollutions. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Morris. Appreciate your insights and for being with us this evening. Next item, is there anyone else who would like to speak to council this evening? I didn't have anyone else who had signed up, but welcome comments, observations. Hearing none, we'll go on to the consent agenda. I'll remind council 9.5 actually was at our place. Thank you, Janie. My poor vision didn't see it there until at the beginning, but the details of the waiver of the peddler's license is at your place, and that is included in the consent agenda and ask for council's consideration.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda with the addition of 9.5.
Second.
Thank you very much. Roll call vote. Mr. Driscoll.
Aye.
Mr. Ziegler.
Aye.
Ms. Strawn.
Aye.
Mr. Betts.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Alexander. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item, unfinished business. Consideration of an amendment to the zoning ordinance to adopt new use and design standards. And I'll call up the city planner. Arnie, welcome.
Good evening to you all. I won't take up too much of your time. As you know, at your last meeting, you held a public hearing. You closed that public hearing and you deferred for additional discussion for this evening. Just to go over quickly, you have three options. One is to deny the zoning text amendment, so we'll just leave it as is. So many warehouses would continue to be a conditional use in the C2 zoning district. And there would be a definition in the definition section, and that would be it. Your other option is to adopt the use and design standards as proposed. That would give us some teeth if we ever do have a proposal for a conditional use permit, some guidelines or guidance or standards for that review process. And that would include a change in the definition, a minor change, mind you. Those new use and design standards, about a page and a half worth of design standards. And then no change to the use matrix, but there would be an ordinance. So there are two ordinances for your consideration. And one of those would apply to the use and design standards if they're adopted. And of course, you could also modify those use and design standards as you see fit this evening. And the third option is to follow Planning Commission's recommendation, which is just to get rid of mini warehouse use in its entirety. So it would not be allowed by right or conditional in any of the zoning districts in Lexington. For what it's worth, staff would recommend at least adopting some use and design standards. So therefore, when we do have, or if we ever have a request for a conditional use permit for mini warehouses, we would have some guidance in the ordinance. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Members of council, have any questions for the planning director? Thank you, Arnie. Was one that suggested that we take our time on this and evaluate it. And I went back and reread the information, and I still find myself at a quandary, not exactly sure what standards and conditions I would find acceptable, but I feel like the existing recommendations are somewhat restrictive. And with it being a conditional use permit, we'd have the latitude to evaluate if somebody did bring forward a suggestion for mini warehouse. So personally, I'd love to have a work session if council was amenable to it, to focus on this and the details and look at the map closely and talk about potential scenarios without, I mean, they're limited areas where, because we're talking about C2, but just give us a chance to focus and have less stringent, if you will, conditions. But I think unequivocally continuing to offer it in C2 and with conditions to give staff some guidance is a prudent approach forward. But that's just my opinion, having started the conversation for and we have no application before us, and I'm not aware that we have anybody bringing one forward imminently. So we wouldn't be responding to a specific request.
I agree that we should take our time, and I think a work session would be helpful. I agree.
Yes, ma'am.
That's totally fine. I think the main thing with these use and design standards, it's different. You know, right now we don't have anything,
Right.
but that it limits it to a multi-story is probably the biggest one for most of the other design standards. It has wiggle words in it, but that's the one you can't avoid.
Right.
So I guess if we're okay with it just being multi-story, I don't know that we need a work session, but if you're willing to consider even just single story, then yes, that's fine.
But I think,
But also, I think it would be helpful for staff for us to tell them what additional information we need to make a decision.
right. I agree with you 100%. And I guess one of the topics, not to get into tonight, but that I would express is when we look at our C2 area and the development, we're not really looking at someone coming in doing a 30-acre mini storage. A lot of the things, because we're so just 2.5 square miles, ends up being some form of mixed use. And so where it could be a multi-story building, I just think there are lots of opportunities to work with smaller developers that may want to take advantage of a mixed use. I'm not a developer. I acknowledge I don't know what I'm talking about, but I don't want to hem ourselves in or outlaw it completely, is my opinion. But so I think the standards, several of them are okay. Shall seems pretty directive. And I don't have my notes in front of me. I realized I didn't bring the sheets that I was working from, but I think that would I think a brief work session, probably coupled with another topic that we already have on our list of work sessions, would be a good time to discuss a little bit more in depth.
I'm always open to work sessions. I think that's a great idea. I think it gives us a chance to understand the C2. We only really have 2 areas that are C2. One of them you consider would be is the Renaissance of the South,
South Main Renaissance.
Right. And so that would almost, from my thinking, take that area off the table. So now you're down to 1 C2 area and, just thinking out loud. So I think we have a lot to work through. Again, there are within a stone's throw, multiple self-storage facilities in the county, literally within a stone's throw. They're assessed for about $1 million and about $200,000. So the county gets about, well, it's not the highest and best use of real estate that is, again, within a stone's throw of the county seat of Rockbridge County that are on main highways, Route 60 and Route 11 with utilities. And, we have the same land, again, on main thoroughfares with utilities. And so that would be for us to decide if it's for the highest and best use for which we might receive $6,000 to $10,000 annually in property taxes and where no one can live. So I think a work session would be great for us to flesh out those issues and maybe hear from the public if they can look at a zoning map and they can think about, because again, we had a public hearing, we closed it, but if we want to get this right and we're going to prolong it by having a work session, I think it's fair to hear from the public again, if they think that mini storage units behind sheets would be appropriate, or if mini storage units, if the co-op were to go away along Route 11 there, if that's appropriate. So I think it'd be helpful if that's where we're going with this.
And it may be as simplistic as working in a mixed use proposition. So.
Yeah, I would agree with that idea. I was thinking too, David, having put things in storage, the ones that aren't climate controlled are problematic. And the other thing that David and I were talking about this morning is that the business model for mini warehouses is changing. So it's more than just putting your stuff in. It could be where UPS or Amazon delivers and picks up. It could be offices. I know I read about some in larger cities where there's a market for both storage, but actually you have an office next door. So I think there's that could be part of the discussion if we were looking down the road a bit. So I would concur with your idea.
Very good. Don't hear any objection or hear a majority for a work session. We'll find a date and work on that and keep it moving forward.
Is there anything we need from staff, though, to have that discussion?
I don't think so. I think we'll work from that document. The one thing as we prepare for that work session would be to have the map of the C2 area so that we can see what area we're talking about.
I think it'd be helpful to have a joint work session with planning commission to get their thoughts on it as we think through it, or.
They would certainly be welcome to the meeting. I don't know that we need to have a joint meeting per se as a work session.
I think they were pretty comfortable with what they
Yeah.
presented.
Yeah. Thank you for asking.
I just want to mention that I've never had the pleasure of seeing an attractive mini storage or mini warehouse. So I want to do my own research to see if there are some that, would be acceptable, with the design standards that they're thinking about.
Right. So from that standpoint, I know we sought out other municipalities for their standards, or if there's some, I guess, addresses of things that have been completed in response to Miss Alexander's, in addition to her research. Maybe save you a couple steps.
There's the one picture in the packet, but
Right.
I don't think you'll find anything local.
Right. Certainly, yeah, there's certainly nothing within the 24450 zip code. Very good. And we'll carry that forward. Next item 10.2, Rockbridge Area Department of Social Services solar panels. And I'll call on the city manager for introduction to this topic.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to recap a couple of things. Much of this is discussed in the memorandum. So I'll try not to be too repetitive, but as you know, we're the fiscal agent for the Department of Social Services building. We're building that building in partnership with Rockbridge County and Buena Vista. We're sharing the costs, but Lexington is the fiscal agent. So we hold the contract for that project. We're managing the project. And a joint meeting, all three government entities, Rockbridge, Buena Vista, and Lexington, approved the project, which already included on January 30th, 2 bid alternates. And that was an extension of Banner Lane and then also a $340,000 bid alternative to install solar. At that meeting on January 30th, we had some discussions about what is the payback period for the solar investment. In April, we presented some analysis that showed with the Inflation Reduction Act tax incentive, the payback period would be just under 19 years. If that tax incentive did not exist, payback period would be closer to 29 years. So there is a payback period. It's long in terms of the perspective. That said, we're building a 50-year building. We're borrowing money for 25 years. I think those are helpful comparisons for you as you debate this. Recently, the House of Representatives, the United States House of Representatives, passed a budget bill that would eliminate these Inflation Reduction Act incentives. And so that led to some discussion. Councilmember Sigler asked if these incentives are on the chopping block, should we reconsider? And that's why this issue is in front of you this evening. And it's really going to be a policy decision for City Council. That said, I think if there is a discussion to eliminate the solar panels, we should be seeking out our partners, Rockbridge County and Buena Vista, as well, before we would make a unilateral decision to eliminate the solar. I don't know that they would have a problem if we did, but we should make sure we ask them the question. So in the packet this evening is some discussion about what the project contingency is. I've kept council apprised that the DSS project is running into some soil conditions. The architect and geotechnical engineers are keeping us apprised. Jim Hallis is our owner's representative on site, and the contractors have been communicating very closely with us. Just yesterday, I did sign a change order in the neighborhood of $43,000 for importing and moving some material on the site. We do have a healthy project contingency. It's discussed in the memorandum. It's $781,000. To date, we've used about $50,000 of the project contingency, including the change order that I signed yesterday. We know there's at least one other change order that will be coming to improve Banner Lane and do some additional work to make sure it connects seamlessly with the central dispatch building. But at this moment, I'm not terribly worried about the project contingency and exhausting it. In addition to the change order that I authorized yesterday, we have communicated with the staff at DSS, and we have a substantial completion date of June 10th of 2026. So a year from now is when the building is supposed to be substantially completed and ready to start receiving furniture and fixtures and begin the process of moving DSS staff into the building. A final completion date is of July 10th of 2026. Communicating with DSS, as you may recall, they are located in the Woody Building in Lexington. They have signed a lease that takes them through March of 27. So we have 8 to 9 months of time between the current substantial completion and when their lease ends. And so we believe that if we run into other weather-related problems and the soil conditions have been a function of the wet May that we have had, that we can delay the completion date and credit the contractor for that extra time and still have plenty of time to complete the move and relocation of DSS staff before their lease expires. So I'm not concerned today about the project contingency being depleted or overly utilized because of the soil conditions. That said, if we were to eliminate the solar panel project, we would add the $340,000 to the project contingency. And if we didn't need that project contingency and or the solar funds that are freed up under our bond legislation that council adopted earlier this calendar year, we have the ability to reassign those bond proceeds to other public purposes. Could be the jail, could be central dispatch, some other joint service that we share with Buena Vista and Rockbridge County. So there are policy options if that's council's pleasure to cancel that. In the packet this evening is also communication from the solar vendor who is communicated that they believe right now with the steps that have been taken, we are locked in to receive the tax incentives that were made available in the 2021 Inflation Reduction Act. I noticed that that's not a guarantee, but that is their current position, that the steps that we have taken do ensure that we will get that tax credit, even if the Senate adopted the House's bill and the president signed that bill into legislation. They believe that we have time we've already done what we need to do to take advantage of those tax credits, investment tax credits. So it really does become a policy issue for city council to decide if you do want to reconsider the solar. It remains my position that we should continue to do the solar. I think it is 3.5% of the project cost. It does have a payback period. And I think it's important that we convey our commitment to environmental sustainability. Having said all that, you've seen the numbers and you can make your own policy judgment that may disagree with my position. Be happy to answer any questions.
So Leslie and I, we had just discussions about this, and obviously I was in favor of solar at the Horse Center when we met jointly. But I think that we just felt compelled to bring this up publicly. I think our council is always very thorough when we discuss topics. I think we like to know all of the available information at the time that we make decisions. We're not spending our money, we're spending our neighbors' money and that of Buena Vista, not that of Rockbridge County. And given our own experience with solar at Lilburn Downing, with our own experience with agreements that we've entered into over the years, whether with Rockbridge County High School or somewhere else, with energy savings, agreements that said they would pay for themselves, we know how they've never worked out. Now, all that being said, I'm still inclined personally to proceed with this. For the reasons that Tom stated, there may be a benefit. None of us have a crystal ball what may happen in Washington, D.C. 5 minutes from now. But we just felt that we needed to put this out there. And I appreciated hearing from a couple of our neighbors in Lexington and their thoughts. But we just didn't feel that we could ignore this in the news, that this is something that we're borrowing money for 25 years on behalf of Rockbridge County and Buena Vista. And so just wanted to put it out there. And Tom wrote a great memo summarizing what we know today. And that's kind of the bottom line, what we know today. Because again, check Twitter, it might be different now. So, you never know anything, but, that's where we kind of are and just wanted to hear everyone's thoughts. We also know that, Dominion and Appalachian Power, AEP, I believe they're working to, make it harder for residents and potentially owners of solar panels to receive the benefits of solar long term, because you can't, I believe, sell energy back to the grid when you are getting more than you need. And so that's also an active process that's working against solar for some reason. So we know that the landscape might change, but we just thought that it was really helpful to put this out there, maybe even hear from the public and us have a discussion. And maybe we're still full steam ahead, but just couldn't ignore the news of the day.
I do have two questions. So for our solar, are we using any of the electricity there, or it's all going back into the grid?
It will vary by day. And each day generation will differ depending on season and conditions, weather conditions. I don't think there will be many days where we are doing what's called net metering, where we're selling a significant amount of power back. This is only the solar array that's on the building is going to generate a fraction of the power that's used for the building. So there could be days, a sunny summer day that's long, cloudless, where power is going back out to the grid during the day. But I think generally speaking, it's still drawing on the grid on your typical day.
Okay. And then changing the topic, for the fat clay or the wet clay. So you said you've already signed a change order for the 43,000. Is that just for the removal, or is that bringing in the rock to amend the soil?
That is, it's a combination of both.
Oh, it covers the whole thing. Okay. So do they feel like they can get going on actual construction once the rock is there, or it keeps raining?
I received an email this evening that I haven't digested yet about this. So I don't want to answer the question.
That's
yes, but I think the soil conditions are a moving target, but a significant investment of 43,000 should help us continue to stay on track schedule wise. I don't know that that's the limit of what soil condition change orders will have to make.
Yeah.
But I wanted to give you a cost order of magnitude as to what's already been committed to the soil issue that we're facing.
No, that's great, because I agree with everything David said. We've been talking about this. We just want to make sure everybody has the same information. And a big piece of it is making sure we have a healthy contingency. And so I'm glad to hear from you. It sounds like we do. 10% is a good contingency anyway. That's, I wish I'd seen that on some projects, but so I do think we're in good shape with that. And we are 20% of this project. So we're not shouldering the whole burden if we don't get payback on the solar.
I'm generally inclined for the solar panels too, but I do have a couple questions. If we didn't proceed with the solar panels, would there be any cost incurred for not doing so?
Yes, at the moment it would be small. So even though we're still dealing with site work, the contractors are already working on what are called shop drawings for the project. And so there's been an investment of their time, and those contractors would certainly seek some compensation for the investment of time. If we were going to cancel and discontinue doing the solar, we should do it quickly so that we minimize the wastage of that. But it would be relatively small amount. I would hazard a guess it would be under $5,000 to $10,000 at this point. Tops.
Is there essentially, and that may play into this, but is there a point of no return where we could not? Is there a date that we could no longer not proceed with this?
The answer is yes, there is a date. I don't know the date.
Okay.
But sooner is better if this is the direction we're going to go.
One challenge we may have is that we probably would have to, I would think that we'd have to make the decision with our regional partners.
That's
and
right.
we'd have to find a time to all meet. And so I think that would be a challenge as well.
Well, and there is, yes, you're right. There is tentatively yet to be determined a date of July 30th or 31st, where it's a fifth Thursday in the month of July, so none of the entities have a meeting, and we've kind of penciled that in as a joint meeting. But again, that's 8 weeks away, and so the cost may go up a little bit between now and then if we did decide to cancel it.
Thank you.
Did I hear it said at some point, maybe at the January meeting, that the solar panels on a roof can cause damage to the roof? Or has that happened at Lilburn, or is it
It happened at
general?
Lilburn, and I think Tom had addressed that.
They can, especially solar panels, any penetration of a roof, particularly if you're putting it on after the roof has already been put on, can void a warranty and cause problems where water drains through the roof because of the penetrations that are necessary for the solar. It is better and doesn't void the warranty if you are doing it at the same time with the same general contractor. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
Is there an alternative location other than a roof?
Not on the site, simply because some of the reserved balance of the site is being held for a health center plans for the 3 entities down the road. I don't think there's anything eminent about that, but that is what the balance of the site is being held for.
Thank you.
And Marilyn, back to your question too, that the school board had told us that was why they were not looking at it for Waddell. It was they started to, and then they were told it would void the roof warranty.
And the damages at Lilburn Downing is because they were added after,
Right.
but was it
We
built
were,
in?
yeah, told by the builders you can because it sits on, it doesn't attach, but they attach.
Yeah. My sense, I'm willing to be corrected, but I don't have the sense that council would like to engage our partners to look at removing the solar, that we'd like to continue to move on as is.
Yes.
Okay. If there's anything to the contrary, let me know. That give you the feedback you're looking for. Very good. Very good. Next item on the agenda is boards and commissions. Blue Ridge Resource Authority, Mr. Smith.
No report.
Main Street, Lexington, Mr. Smith.
Going away party for outgoing director Rebecca Logan next Tuesday, the 10th at the Visitor Center. I don't recall the time, but I'm going to guess 5 or 5:30. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Planning Commission, Ms. Strawn.
No report.
Regional Tourism, Mr. Betts. After that
Excellent.
robust, excellent report, no doubt. Raro, Mr. Ziegler.
I have a short 30-minute report.
Thank you for condensing it.
Sure thing. Since we referenced sports tourism earlier, I just did want to mention that we will be hosting 3 Cal Ripken baseball tournaments in the next few weeks. So that include an invitational, the District 4 tournament, and then the state tournament, which I previously told you about. And so that just brings a lot of kids with dirty baseball pants that want to stay in our hotels and eat in our restaurants. So that's a good thing for our region because we have a lot of cool attractions that those families can also check out while they're here. We have a lot of pickleball playing going on. We've been advertising our intro to pickleball that's occurring, and hopefully we get a lot of signups for that. We have 17 adult co-ed teams playing softball, 17. And that is really cool that we brought that back and that we've got that many teams. Right now, during the summertime, when there used to be a significant lull in Raro's activities, in addition to the softball and the pickleball and these state tournaments, we also have our some of our Raro Adventures programs, which kayaking is happening this week. And last night, they were all at Glenmorey Park's pool practicing flipping over and then getting back right side up. And tonight, if weather was okay, they were going to kayak from Beans Bottom to Jordan's Point. That was kind of the culmination of the week. Hopefully, everyone saw the wellness guide called the Crew Playbook that was in the News Gazette this week. That's the second edition of a project that Raro has spearheaded with the Rockbridge Community Health Foundation and the News Gazette, putting that together. And I'll tell you, it's just tons of information. I hope you check it out. And then also wanted to highlight that Fox and Brubaker Field, both of those fields are almost 100% complete with the padding and the fencing, and they just look awesome. And so please drive by those two facilities and see all the good work that Raro Public Works have done. We are really in debt to Public Works and then the Raro staff and then the dollars and cents that we've appropriated to make that happen. Finally, and I told you it was kind of a long report, but we had awesome visitors to our meeting yesterday. We had representatives from the Arc of Rockbridge that attended, including Sharon White. She's the executive director of the Arc of Rockbridge here in our area. And we also had a gentleman named Mike Gangloff. He's the Shenandoah Region Director for the Special Olympics of Virginia. And so they came to talk to us about the offerings that occurred in the past. Our area is called Area 32, and we used to have a Special Olympics program in this area. We don't anymore. There are regional events like the one that VMI hosts. That's a regional event where the VMI facilities are used for a weekend, and that's a great event, but there's not multiple seasons of offerings for athletes to participate in. And so they wanted to bring that to our attention. I mean, they certainly, there was no action taken. They were just bringing that to our attention because our goal is to offer recreational opportunities to people of all ages in Rockbridge County, Lexington, Buena Vista, in this area. And so we learned about what they would love to see. Ideally, they would look for a area coordinator. That's what they need. We need a council to work with Special Olympics of Virginia, an area coordinator, and that essentially manages finances and the whole 9 yards, communications and registration. So it would be something outside of Raro. And so they look to Raro as potentially a partner. But I bring this up because it doesn't have to be Raro. It could be someone else in the community, and there's a need. And so I bring that up just to reach as many people as possible that maybe Raro's staff can't take this on right now because it is kind of a separate entity, if you will, with its own rules and regulations and financing and so forth. But it should be a priority maybe for our area. And so I bring that up. If someone has questions, I've got the contact information for the gentleman who's the region director, the Shenandoah region director. And again, we had Miss White presenting, but we also had about 4 or 5 other individuals that have experience with these sports and with these athletes. And it was a great 30-minute presentation conversation that we had learning about these athletes and the enjoyment that they receive from playing sports. And again, Raro is trying to do more for this area. And that's why they came to us, and we were thrilled that they came to us. But I bring this up to share with the entire public there's a need for this. My report.
Thank you, sir. Did they make any, were they able to describe the structure, the organizations that are active in offering seasons? Was it part of it obviously was not part of the recreational entities?
The area to our west is active, Covington. There's a very, very active area in the Charlottesville area. And they do offer multiple seasons, sports seasons. They've got robust councils that have to have, the area coordinator. It has to have the treasurer. It has to have an athlete on the council. There's different membership makeup. We were taking in information. We were not asking too many questions. It was one of those situations where we just wanted to hear what these groups, which the individuals had to say. And really, it was really great to make the contact with the gentleman from the Special Olympics who said, I'm here to support you, but we need someone on the ground. We need multiple people on the ground to get it going. And so that's why they came to us, and we were thrilled that they did come to us. But the true mechanics, I did some of my own research online to try to understand here are the responsibilities of an area coordinator, and they're in charge of entering the registrations into this Commonwealth or the state of Virginia's Special Olympics website and helping to do background checks on coaches. And there are some responsibilities, just like anyone that coordinates Babe Ruth baseball or those organizations. But again, I have this information and it was the beginning of a conversation. We'll see where it goes, but it was a worthwhile meeting. I learned a lot and I think everyone did.
Terrific.
It's a conversation with Kim Shaw at CSB or Mark Nelson with Coffee House.
Yes, and you're exactly right, because we did talk with the folks that were there, really having the affiliation with the Arc of Rockbridge. They, of course, facilitate the coffee house. I mean, that's something that they can take ownership of, and that they so there are some of those relationships already. You're completely right. So this is, but this was a cool thing to learn about, and to also to hear that, you know, we don't have it active in our area right now.
Excellent. Thank you for that report, and congratulations, 17 co-ed teams. I was out last night and saw the lights on at Brubaker and thought, what in the world's going on? In the dull roar of competition in softball, it looked pretty festive. So good stuff. Threshold, Miss Alexander.
Threshold met last on May 28th at the Firehouse, and we continued discussions of the elements of the Homeowner Helper Program. The first, the overview. This will be a collaboration between the city and our local EDA to promote our commitment to safe and affordable housing in the city, and for homeowners to benefit from being safer, healthier, and more prosperous city residents. To accomplish these objectives, the program provides financial assistance to Lexington property owners who live in their own homes but are unable to adequately maintain their home due to financial constraints and challenges. Next, client eligibility. We started out discussing that people, of course, must live in their own home and demonstrate that they lack financial ability to undertake the necessary repairs on their own, be willing to accept a zero interest loan secured by a lien on their home. And next, a plan in place such as a will to transfer the property upon the owner's death. Basically, a will that will direct the survivors as to what's going to happen with the house. There needs to be something with legal direction to do so. After researching what other localities all over the country were requiring, we will be discussing those elements in more detail in our next meeting, and whether we will include any of this criteria. And some examples have to do with, are they current on their real estate tax? Do they have homeowners insurance? Are they current on their mortgage? Is the structure also used for a business? If they're in the midst of a reverse mortgage, also, is it an investment property? Proof that they are able to pay their utilities. Another would be, have they been in a home the last 12 months, and do they plan to remain in the home the next 12 months? So things like that will be considered, and I'm not going to sit here and say that these are things that are put in stone, but we do have those up for discussion. Also, the next element would be how to apply. The application must be submitted. We may request documents to verify ownership of the home, the status of the property, liens and whatever. And in talking about eligible repairs, we're working on a long list that was categorized from primary repairs to possible repairs, projects to be referred to partners in the community, and those that are ineligible for repairs. The program cost limits, now we're looking at $20,000 to $25,000 range on projects, but every project will be considered on its own merit and determinations made about the priorities of the needs of that particular project. If funds are left at the end of all the major products, we'll go back to the applications to determine if we can work on those that are in a pending status. And if we have exhausted the application pool, we could possibly reopen the application process to take more applications. The selection process is considered right now for January 15th to March 1st of each year. Decisions being made by Memorial Day of each year. home repair scheduled soon after. And of course, all activities are going to be contingent upon funding being available any given year. City Council. Project management, there will be an inspection by city officials, contractors, or community partners planning to do the work. Cost estimates and work order write-ups will be completed. All projects with natural or propane gas will be require adding a carbon monoxide detector. And of course, all projects will have smoke detectors installed. At the completion of the project, the final costs will be recorded on the lien, and there was a discussion about whether to record the lien based on estimated cost, and we decided that it would be recorded at the end of the project when we know the exact figures for a lien. The EDA loan, homeowners must agree to the EDA's placing a lien against their property, very similar to the lien that you would place on a property by a bank when a loan is made. This guarantees that when the home is transferred or sold. But to be clear, the lien will not allow the city or the EDA to take control of someone's private property. Potential partners, we're considering many private partners, potential partners, such as Habitat for Contractual Repairs, Mission Next Door, potentially TAP Weatherization Program, volunteers in the community, local organizations, the students at the RIC, and that is the Rockbridge Innovation Center, VMI FTX weekends, Washington and Lee community-based learning, and more were listed, but I didn't want to take up more of your time. The next meetings we have scheduled already for Wednesday, June 11th and Wednesday, June 25th, both meetings at 4 p.m. And we have chosen the Nelson Street location of City Hall, second floor rear entrance as our regular meeting location at this time. That's it.
Marilyn, you mentioned investment property. Are we still looking at this as being only for primary residents?
Residential homeowners. But
yeah, they have
doing the research, we found that the question was asked, and I don't remember which locality it was, but I guess they just needed to make sure. These were larger localities who probably had things going on they may not have been aware of and not regarding the zoning of an area. And they just needed to be sure that it was not an investment property. It needed to be sure also that they were not running a business out of that home.
Yeah, right, great.
I did think of a couple other things. One thing that I think we talked about potentially is having a contingency, leaving a certain portion of the funding not assigned to any project, maybe when we first start out, just in case any problems are run into in the applications that we do fund.
Contingency.
Yeah. And then a consent form, just so folks know with any disclaimers or any consent we would need to get legally from them to do this other than the lien and the will and everything like that.
Consent for release of information that we would need to go out and get.
Or any information that would potentially become public if they were funded. And then the third thing is, and I think you kind of covered it here, with the potential partners, if this was highly successful in terms of interest and applications, maybe we could look at some type of public-private partnership to try to, raise some funding to keep this going in addition to any additional funding we would ask for the city in the future if this is very successful.
Very good. Yeah.
Further questions?
Thank you, threshold representatives. Greatly appreciate the report and the work on that programming as we look to the future. Under my report, thank you, Janie, for organizing the memo that was part of your packet. And we have a host of folks. And if it pleases council, if you would want to make a motion for the individuals that are detailed to be reappointed on here as one motion.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Not really. important, but for the Board of Zoning Appeals, there's a recommended term. Do they not have an official term period? Or,
I think the recommendation reference is because city council makes a recommendation to the circuit court.
oh, that's
has
what
to
it is.
approve it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It's a quasi judicial position.
That's right. I
Yes.
forgot about that.
And we did have an applicant for the alternate on ARB, but I have not made time to contact that applicant yet. So I'm planning to bring that name forward at the 26th, but would welcome your consideration of this detailed memo presented from Janie.
I move to appoint the 5 board members as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Do we have the update from the railroad board?
Yes. I contacted Janie and the mayor and said that she's would love
Ready
to
to-
continue.
okay.
Yes.
Yes, thank you for asking. Yes, Aaron Terrapane would also like to continue to serve. With that motion second, any other discussion? Roll call vote. Mr. Driscoll.
Aye.
Ms. Strawn.
Aye.
Mr. Ziegler.
Aye.
Mr. Betts. Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Ms. Alexander. Motion carries. Thank you all very much. Just wanted to acknowledge several members of council were at the dedication and chamber sponsored ribbon cutting of the Rockbridge Innovation Center. It's a terrific building. For those of you, if you haven't been out to see it, I highly recommend. It's a $12 million investment, I believe, and a terrific investment for our community and for professional development of professionals in our community in the future. So congratulations to the chamber, and remind everyone, if you have nothing else to do or want to be inspired by our 4 college presidents, tomorrow morning, the chamber is hosting a breakfast with the leadership from the 4 universities at the Horse Center tomorrow. Doors open at 7:45 a.m. So come one and come early. And with that, I'll turn it over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick items tonight. Wanted to remind council, the public, and perhaps most importantly myself, that the next council meeting is on June 26th. This is off of our normal rhythm of meeting because the next regularly scheduled meeting would fall on the June 19th, Juneteenth holiday. And so we're going to move that meeting to the 26th. City offices will be closed on June 19th to commemorate and celebrate the Juneteenth holiday. And in addition to the change in the June meetings, we're also, just a reminder, canceling the July 3rd meeting. So the next meeting in July will only have one, will be July 17th. You may also notice, and I'm sure people who patronize the downtown businesses may notice as well, that many of the downtown hanging flower baskets have been removed from the poles. This is a temporary measure that's being taken to improve and change the lining that's in those baskets so that they can better hold water. The drains right now have been draining too much water right now, and so the flowers are not getting the hydration that they need to stay alive. So we anticipate that being those baskets being back up next week, but that will depend upon getting some materials which we haven't procured yet. So it's possible that it might be later than next week, but I know people love the downtown. I know people love flowers, and those two things, I just want to keep you apprised of that. Happy to answer any questions about that or any other matters.
Now, how many baskets do we have?
I will let you know. I do not know.
Who is doing that work? Is that Public Works or is it? Okay.
Yeah, Public Works is doing the work.
Tom, one question. I saw where I'm not sure exactly what happened, but there was caution tape at Hopkins Green, and wasn't sure how much damage was done. Can you report on what happened and its status?
Sure. We had a vehicle accident crash. A vehicle crashed into the fence at Hopkins Green probably nine or 10 days ago.
Bless you.
The work is scheduled to be completed to restore that fence, that decorative fence, next week. There will be parking temporary parking restrictions in that area to provide clearance for the work crews and pedestrian access. That should be happening starting on Monday. And businesses will have already or will receive notices tomorrow about that disruption.
And was the individual not injured,
I
or was it like our light pole that somebody wrecked and kept on rolling?
not aware of any injury. We do know who the individual was and have made contact, and we're working with them and their insurance company.
Terrific. Thank you. Other questions for the city manager? Thank you. Jeremy, I'm going to ask you to swallow that microphone so Mary Ellen can hear you. She's eager to hear what you have to say.
I was not going to give any report this evening, Mr. Mayor, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Did you hear that, Mary Ellen? Good. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Members of council have any questions for the city attorney? Very good. I'm not aware of any new business, and we do have a closed session identified, and we plan to go in. And before Ms. Alexander reads us in, do alert everyone. I anticipate we'll be receiving information and discussing part of our process of the city manager's review, since he's been here a year. And when we come out of closed session, I don't anticipate there'll be any actions taken. But I'll ask Ms. Alexander to read us into closed session. Thank you all for being here, and have a great weekend. Oh, yeah.
I move that the City Council of the City of Lexington convene in closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A1 to discuss and consider the city manager's assignment, appointment, and performance, supervising and managing city department heads and other direct reports, as well as the assignment, appointment, and performance of those department heads and direct reports.
Second. Oh, darn it, Nick, you beat.
Thank you for that second. Roll call vote. Ms. Strawn.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Sigler.
Aye.
Mr. Driscoll.
Aye.
Betts. Mayor Friedman. Thank you. And I vote aye. We can now go into closed meeting.